my son. Our hopes and dreams travel with you.
He'll be an outcast. I'll kill him.
How? He'll be a god to them.
What if a child dreamed of becoming something other than what society had intended? What if a child aspired to something greater?
My son was in the bus. He saw what Clark did.
You're the answer, son. You're the answer to are we alone in the universe?
Can I just keep pretending I'm your son?
You are my son. And I have to believe that you were sent here for a reason. And even if it takes the rest of your life, you owe it to yourself to find out what that reason is.
How do you find someone who has spent a lifetime covering his tracks? For some, he was a guardian angel. For others, a ghost who never quite fit in.
You will give the people of Earth an ideal to strive towards. They will race behind you. They will stumble. They will fall. But in time, they will join you in the sun. In time, you will help them accomplish wonders.
You believe your son is safe? I will find him!
My father believed that if the world found out who I really was, they'd reject me. He was convinced that the world wasn't ready. What do you think?
What's the S stand for?
It's not an S. On my world, it means hope.
Well, here it's an S. How about...
Excuse me.
Shalom to you, Yasharal. I would love to say greetings to you in the name of Yahusha. It's been quite some time since I've sat before the camera. Nonetheless, we have been busy in Yahuah's word as we should be. You know, the scriptures tells us that we are to study to show ourselves approved. Workmen needing not to be ashamed, but being able to rightly divide the word of truth. And so it is with shalom, it is in shalom that I come to you on this day. And as we come together here, I bring to your attention, I would like to bring to your attention a bit of Yahuah's Torah, something that is extremely important. All of his word is important. But you know, we have inherited great lies, and that's something that I continue to say, that we have inherited great lies, and as a result of that, what we have got to do is our minds have got to be renewed. You see, you know, when Shaul wrote to the Abrith people, the Hebrews that were scattered in the provinces of Rome, in the book of Romans, he told them, he said, "Be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind." And even so, that command is still very much important to us today, and one that we should heed. We have to renew our minds. Our minds have got to be renewed because we have inherited many great lies. The subject that I come to you with today is the subject of images and mighty ones. Images and mighty ones. That is the subject that I bring to you today. And specifically, It's going to be dealing with pictures. It's going to be dealing with toys. It's going to be dealing with movies. And as you see at the beginning of this video, a clip from the upcoming Batman movie, Superman movie. And Superman is nothing new. The movie Superman has been around for quite some time. I think it's important to note what all of these superhero films represent. Very often it's taken for granted that, oh, it's just entertainment, but really, is it? And so, if you notice at the beginning of that film, and during this video I will go back to that clip, but if you notice at the beginning of the film, Superman's father said that you will be a god to them. Okay, you will be a god to them. And that is the message in all that's the message in all of these superhero films and stories. The message in them is that the superheroes, they are not regular people. Okay? They are mighty ones. It is only a mighty one that could be smacked by a train, smacked by a truck, smacked by a bus, ran over by whatever, hit by a meteorite or whatever it may be, and still live to tell the tale. Okay, so what we have a cast of mighty ones. And so we're going to look, because Torah, the scripture speaks about these things. The scripture speaks about them. And so we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about pictures. Is it okay, you know, for us to continue to flaunt our pictures, you know, on social media and in other places? What does Yahuah say about that? Okay, so we're going to look at all of this from the scriptures. Please understand that I am not here to offend. I do not come bringing my own word. I encourage you not to take my word for it, but to prove all things, as the scriptures tells us to do, and then to hold fast to that which is good. And so we're going to be going to the scriptures, and this video we will do it in several parts, so as not to make it too lengthy. We will do it in several parts, okay? What we're going to do now, and this is where I want to start. Now think about Yasharal. Think about the ancient Yahudi people, the Abrit people. You know, as you study archaeology, you will not find, with the exception of times when Yasharal were walking in disobedience, you will not find any images that were created by the people of Yasharal. You won't find any images of them created by them. But whatever images of Yasharal that we do find in archaeology, as far as images of the people, they are images that have been created by their captors. You know, they are witnesses to us as to the identity, the physical identity of the people of Yasharal. Because if we depend on our captors, if we depend on our slave masters to tell us who the people of the scriptures truly are, you will never hear it. They will never tell you. They have lied to us for generations, and they continue to lie to us. If you are still in church, your pastor continue to lie to you. They continue to give you this guy named Jesus. Okay, and you know, a white guy, tall hair, blue eyes, and whatever other shades of gray comes in, and they tell you that the Mashiach's name is Jesus. Well, the Mashiach's name is not Jesus. His name is Yahusha. And when Yahusha walked the earth, he was a black man, what we call today black man. And the terminology relating to people as black is pretty recent. Prior to that, it used to be Moors, or and then they would say colored, and they would say Negro, and so on. terminology black is pretty recent. Nonetheless, Yahusha was a man of dark skin. So dark that he was the same darkness as the Egyptians, the Mitzrites, because Yahusha was able to go into Mitzrayim and to hide out in Mitzrayim until Herod had died. And the only way that he could do that, he could not do that as a white man, because Egypt was a black land. And if he as a white man went there to hide out, he would stand out like a sore thumb among the blacks that were living there. The only whites in Mitzrayim at that time were the masters. You see, were the Romans who had captured Mitzrayim. And so if Yahusha, being a white man, as we are told, went there with his family, hiding out until the death of Herod, then he would have been quickly found out, and the child would have been killed. Okay, speaking of Yahusha. Alright, so speaking of images, we want to see what the scriptures say. And so for the sake of time, I want to begin at Devarim chapter 4. We're going to go to also Shamut, or Exodus chapter 20. We will be going to those passages also. But I want to begin at Devarim chapter 4. And there are many scriptures that I hope to go to in this study. Okay, so bear with me please while I take the time to walk through these scriptures, because I do want you to know that what I am about to bring to you is nothing that I made up, but it is plainly written for us in the scriptures. It is written for our good. And so, does the scriptures talk about pictures? And what does it have to say about pictures? It does. Okay, so without further ado, we're going to go ahead and turn to the text. Excuse me while I take a drink. Now in Devarim, Deuteronomy chapter 4, I'm going to begin at verse 1. Now therefore hearken, O Yasharal, unto the statutes and unto the judgments which I teach you, for to do them, that you may live and go in and possess the land which Yahuah your Elohim, the Elohim of your fathers, give you. Okay? So he says, now therefore hearken, O Yasharal, unto the statutes and unto the judgments which I teach you, for to do them, that you may live and go in and possess the land which Yahuah, the Elohim of your fathers, give you. As a matter of fact, Yahuah Adonai is the word that is used here in this verse. So it would be Yahuah, the sovereign of your father, give you. Okay, so heed, hearken to the statutes and the judgments which I teach you. This is Masha speaking to Yasharal. Hearken to the statutes and commands which I teach you, so that you may live. You see, Yahuwah's word is life. Yahuwah's word gives life. Okay, so we must understand that. The reason why Yahuwah gives us his word is so that we may live. Verse 2, you shall not add unto the word which I command you. You shall not add unto the word which I command you. And so even as I come to you today, family, I have a responsibility not to add to this word. I have a responsibility not to add to this word. Yahuwah warns that those who add to his word, he will add to them the plagues of this book. And then he goes on and he says, neither shall you diminish, neither shall you take away anything from it, that you may keep the commandments of Yahuwah your Elohim, which I command you. That you may keep the commands of Yahuwah your Elohim, which I command you. So neither should you take anything away from this word, these commands that I am giving you. Okay, verse 3. Your eyes have seen what Yahuwah did because of Baal Peor. For all the men that followed Baal Peor, Yahuwah thy Elohim hath destroyed them from among you. All the men that followed after Baal Peor, Yahuwah destroyed them from among his people. Okay, verse 4. But you that did cleave unto Yahuah your Elohim are alive, every one of you, to this day. So when we cleave to Yahuah and we cleave to his covenant, Yahuah will preserve his people. Those who cleave to Yahuah, those who cleave to his commands, those who cleave to his law, Yahuah will preserve. Lawlessness brings death. Okay? Now verse 5. Behold, I have taught you statutes and judgments, even as Yahuah my Elohim commanded me, that you should do so in the land whither you go to possess it. Okay, so here, the people are preparing to go into the land of promise. They're preparing to go into Canaan. And Yahuah says, these statutes and commands, I am giving them to you, so that you may be careful to do them in the land whither you go to possess it. Verse 6, keep therefore and do them, for this is your wisdom and your understanding in the sight of the nations, in the sight of the heathen. You see, that word nations is a very interesting word in the scriptures, because some translations use the word nations, and it's speaking of the people other than Yasharal, but the title that Yahuah gave the people other than Yasharal are heathens, okay? Sometimes you see it as nations, it's heathen, okay? So keep therefore and do them, for this is your wisdom and your understanding in the sight of the heathen. So this, you are to be a witness. Your life is to be a witness to the heathen. And in this situation, it would be a witness against the majority of the heathen, because the majority of the heathen will not turn to the word of Yahuah. And so we, being a set-apart people, our life, our lifestyle, our actions in keeping Yahuah's command is to be a witness to the heathen. It can either be a witness to or a witness against the heathen. Some, very few, will turn to Yahuah's word. The majority will not. Okay, so in verse 6 again, he says, keep therefore and do them, for this is your wisdom and your understanding in the sight of the heathen, which shall hear all these statutes and say, surely this great nation is a wise and understanding people. You know what's interesting about that? What's interesting about that is that even when the wicked will the wicked is quick to say, oh wow, my brother, you are wise, you are truly righteous, good for you, they will say. You know, the wicked will say this. Even people of Yasharal who are unrepentant, they'll say this, good for you. Somehow it's good for you, but it's not good for them. And so this is what Yahuah is telling us. When we live according to his statutes and his commands, the wicked, they will look at it, they will look at us by us living his statutes and his laws, and they will say, surely this is a great nation. This great nation is a wise and understanding people. For what nation is there so great, who hath Elohim so nigh unto them, as Yahuah our Elohim is in all things that we call upon him for? Okay. Let me read that verse again, verse 7. For what nation is there so great, who hath Elohim so nigh unto them, as Yahuah our Elohim is in all things that we call unto him for? That was a question from the prophet. That was a question from Masha. What nation is there so great, that hath Elohim so near unto them, and who would have the things that they call upon Elohim for? There's no other nation but his set-apart nation, but his set-apart people. There's simply no other nation. We'll go on to verse 8. And what nation is there so great, that hath statutes and judgments so righteous as all this law, which I set before you this day? What other nation exists that has statutes and laws so righteous as these that I have set before you this day? Listen, every nation of the earth has laws. But the only nation that has laws that are not biased and that are not designed to help one people and put another people down, the only nation that have those laws are the laws given to the nation of Yasharal. the people of Yahuah. Okay? Every other nation with their laws are a sham. Okay? So verse 9. Only take heed to thyself, and keep thy being diligently, lest you forget the things which your eyes have seen, and lest you depart from your heart all the days of my life, and lest they depart from your heart all the days of your life. But teach them to thy sons and thy sons' sons. Okay, I want to read that again. Remember, at the beginning of the text, Yahuah says that you are to remember the commands and the statutes that I give. Do not add to them, do not take away from them. Now, in Dabarim, verse 4 and verse 9, Deuteronomy, verse 4 and 9, he says, only take heed to thyself, and keep thy being diligently, lest you forget the things which your eyes have seen, and lest you depart, and lest they depart from your heart all the days of your life. But teach them to thy sons and to your sons' sons. So we have that responsibility to teach Yahuah's law to our children and to our children's children. Do not let them depart from us. Okay? Verse 10. Especially the day that you stood before, especially the day that you stood before Yahuah your Elohim in Horeb, when Yahuah said unto me, gather me the people together, and I will make them hear my words, that they may learn to fear me all the days that they shall live upon the earth, and that they may teach their children. Not really getting deep into the fear of Yahuah today, but I want to say something about the fear of Yahuah. You see, Christianity has taught us that there is no need to fear the Creator, and that when the Scripture speaks about the fear of the Creator, it simply means reverence, in the sense that, oh, good morning, sir, good afternoon, ma'am, you know, that kind of reverence. From a Christian perspective, that's all fear represents. From Yahuah's perspective, fear of Yahuah should be real. Fear of Yahuah is real to his people. Yahuah should be feared because his vengeance is great against the wicked. And so we are to fear Yahuah. When Yahuah came and presented himself to the people at Mount Horeb, when the people heard the thunderings and they saw the smoke and the lightnings, they trembled and they said, please do not speak to us, but rather speak to Masha and let him speak to us. That is real fear. And so Yahuah should be feared. The reason why so many people continue today to trample over his commands is because people do not fear him. We have lost the fear of Yahuah. We have lost the fear of Yahuah, and that is what the problem is. You see? But when we come to a knowledge of Yahuah, when we come to a true knowledge of Yahuah, we will truly fear him. Okay? And so, here in verse 10 he says, especially the day that you stood before Yahuah your Elohim in Horeb, when Yahuah said unto me, gather me the people together, and I will make them hear my words, that they may learn to fear me all the days that they shall live upon the earth, and that they may teach their children to also fear me. Okay, verse 11. And you came near and stood upon the mountain, and the mountain burned with fire unto the midst of the heavens of Shamayim, with darkness, clouds, and thick darkness. With darkness, clouds, and thick darkness. Yes, Yahuah even dwells in the midst of darkness. And Yahuah spake unto you out of the midst of the fire. You heard the voice of the words. You heard the voice of the words. That's an interesting statement. You heard the voice of the words. You heard the words, but you heard the tone of the words. You heard precisely what Yahuah wanted to say. And so you have no excuse. You heard the voice of the word. Okay, so now we are in verse let's see, verse 12. And Yahuah spake unto you out of the midst of the fire. You heard the voice of the words, but saw no similitude, no image, no picture. Only you heard a voice. Okay, we're beginning to get to where we're trying to go. Yahuah is getting ready to express something to us concerning images, pictures. Okay, and so even on that day, you heard the voice of the word, yet you saw no similitude. You saw no picture. You saw no likeness of Yahuah. Okay, this is verse 12. The only thing you heard was a voice. Dabarim chapter 4 and verse 12 that was. Now verse 13. And he declared unto you his covenant, which he commanded you to perform, even 10 commandments. And he wrote them upon 2 tables of stone. Okay? Now, the 10 commandments is just, those are the foundational principles. Those are the precepts of Yahuah's Torah. All of Torah is built on those 10 principles. Okay, those 10 words. But that is not the end of Yahuah's law. There are people that teach that, oh, I keep the 10 commandments. That's it. That's all we need to keep. No, those are the 10 principles upon which Yahuah's Torah is built. But Yahuah's Torah, there is far more than 10 laws in Yahuah's Torah. There is far more than some 700 laws in Yahuah's Torah. So the 10 principles are simply the foundation of Yahuah's Torah. And so we are not expected just to keep the 10 commandments. Those are just the 10 words, the 10 principles that upon which it is the foundation upon which all of Yahuah's law is built. You can sum Yahuah's law up in those 10, and you can sum those 10 up in one: love. And the only way you can love, and the only way you do love, is by keeping the 10. Without keeping the 10, there is no love, because it is the 10 that teaches you how to love. Okay? Now, verse 14. And Yahuah commanded me at that time to teach your statutes and judgments, that you might do them in the land whither you go over to possess it. Take you therefore good heed unto yourselves, for you saw no manner of similitude on the day that Yahuah spake unto you in Horeb out of the midst of the fire. Now again, Yahuah says it again. I want you to pay attention to that word similitude. I want you to pay attention to that word similitude. Notice this word again. In verse 12, Yahuah says, and Yahuah spake unto you out of the midst of the fire. You heard the voice of the words, but saw no similitude, no image, no likeness of Yahuah. Okay, this is very important. You see, this is very important. Let me continue. Only you heard a voice. Okay, Yahuah says, I did not reveal myself to you. I did not expose myself to you. There is a reason. Now let's go back to verse 14. You see, let's go back to verse 14, and then I want to make this point. Let's go back to verse 14. And Yahuah commanded me at that time to teach you statutes and judgments, that you might do them in the land whither you go over to possess it. Take you therefore, verse 15, take you therefore good heed unto yourselves, for you saw no manner of similitude on the day that Yahuah spake unto you in Horeb out of the midst of the fire. Okay, take heed to yourself. Yahuah is getting ready to go somewhere. Now, let me just say this before we continue. You have people that are putting up images, likenesses of Yahuah. If you put up a likeness of Mashiach, you're putting up a likeness of Yahuah, because Mashiach is Yahuah manifested in flesh, you see, and that is against Yahuah's law. That is against Yahuah's Torah, you see. Family, it is also against Yahuah's Torah for us to put up images of ourselves, or any images. I'm going to get into that as we continue. Now, some people will begin to scream and kick and say, oh, that's false teaching. But what I encourage you to do is to hear out the entire matter. You see, too many people are quick to speak and slow to hear, when we should be slow to speak and quick to hear. And so a whole lot of people are quick to jump and to speak and to say some things when they have not listened to the entire matter. And so what I'm going to encourage you to do in this study is to listen to the complete matter. Okay? I'm going to encourage you to listen to the complete matter. All right? Verse 16. So I'm going to read verse 15 again. Take heed, take you therefore good heed unto yourselves, for you saw no manner of similitude on the day that Yahuah spake unto you in Horeb out of the midst of the fire, lest you corrupt yourselves and make you a graven image, the similitude of any figure, the likeness of male or female. I want to read that again. Yahuah says here, he says, the reason why I did not expose myself to you, Yasharal, is because I know the wickedness of your heart. And I know that if I had shown myself to you, then you were going to go and do precisely what I told you not to do in the second and third commandment. You were going to do precisely what I told you not to do in the commandment. Therefore, I did not show you a similitude of myself. I did not reveal myself to you, because I know the hardness of your heart. What are we doing today? We are doing precisely what Yahuah knew we would do. And when he said, you know what, I won't even show you myself. I won't reveal myself to you, because you're going to go in and you're going to make some images of me, which is not okay to do, is what Yahuah is saying. So let me read again. Verse 16 and 17. Lest you corrupt yourselves. So when we seek to make any images of Yahuah, Yahusha, we corrupt ourselves according to the scriptures. When we seek to make any images of Yahuah, Yahusha, we corrupt ourselves according to the scriptures. He says, Dabarim 4:16 and 17, lest you corrupt yourselves and make you a graven image, the similitude of a picture of any figure, the likeness of male or female, a picture of any figure, the likeness of male or female. Okay, the likeness of any beast that is on the earth. The likeness of any beast that is on the earth. Now, family, this sounds hard and it's unpopular, because all our lives we've grown up in a lawless society where everybody takes pictures of everything. You see, everybody takes pictures of everything. And what do we do with those pictures? We esteem those pictures. And we're going deeper. We're going deeper. This study, we're going to go deeper, okay? We're going to go deeper, okay? But we are living in a lawless society. In a lawless society where no one cares anything about Yahuah's law, okay? We make images of everything, okay? I want to talk about graven images, molten images. We're going to talk about this because some people make an excuse. Okay, so we're going to talk about the excuse. We're going to expose the lies surrounding Yahuah's commands that people dispute. Okay, so, and the scriptures is going to make it clear, and it's already making it clear here. Okay, so here we continue. He says, so lest you corrupt yourselves, verse 16, Dabarim chapter 4, verse 16, lest you corrupt yourselves and make you a graven image, the similitude of any figure, the likeness of male or female, the likeness of any beast that is on the earth, the likeness of any winged fowl that flieth in the air, the likeness of anything that creepeth on the ground, the likeness of any fish that is in the waters beneath the earth. Now remember where Yahuah started. Yahuah started out by saying, I did not reveal myself to you at the Mount of Horeb, because I did not want you to corrupt yourself by trying to make a likeness of me. I did not want you to corrupt yourself by trying to make a likeness of me, therein going against my commandments. Okay? The likeness of anything that creepeth on the ground, the likeness of any fish that is in the waters beneath the earth. Notice he's saying, do not even make any likeness. Okay? Make no pictures of these things. Okay? Make no images of these things. Okay? And we're going to go deeper. We're just beginning. The likeness of anything that creepeth on the ground, verse 18. The likeness of any fish that is in the waters beneath the earth. And lest you lift up your eyes onto Shamayim, and when you see the sun, the moon, and the stars, even all the host of Shamayim, shouldest be driven to worship them and serve them, which Yahuah your Elohim hath divided unto all nations under the whole heavens. But Yahuah hath taken you and brought you forth out of the iron furnace, even out of Mitzrayim, to be unto him a people of inheritance, as you are this day. So in verse 19 of Dabarim chapter 4 he says, don't even make any images, any pictures of the sun or the moon, because your wicked heart will then go and want to worship them. You see, when you look around the world today, you see people, everything that they make an image of, they worship. They make images of volcanoes, they worship the volcano. You see? Now, I'm going to talk about this some more. We're going deeper. We're just beginning. I want to remind you of that. We're going deeper. We're only just beginning. Okay? So, verse 20. But Yahuah hath taken you and brought you forth out of the iron furnace, even out of Mitzrayim, to be unto him a people of inheritance, as you are this day. Furthermore, Yahuah was angry with me for your sakes, and swear that I should not go over Jordan, and that I should not go in unto that good land, which Yahuah thy Elohim give you for an inheritance, but I must die in this land. Okay? I'm gonna stop here in verse 22 for right now, and I want to reflect now again from verses 9 basically to verse 19. From verse 9 to verse 19. From verses 9 to verses 19, Yahuah re-emphasizes that I want you to make no likeness of anything, whether on the earth, under the earth, or in the heavens. Okay? I want you to make no likeness of anything. Well, I hear somebody say, but okay, so what about the furnishings in the Haykal? What about the furnishings in the temple? What about the Abrith letters? What about the language? What about the Abrith language? Aren't they pictures? And they absolutely are. Okay? Here is my question to you, and we have many more scriptures that we are going to go to concerning images and pictures. Okay? Yes, pictures. Here's my question to you. You see, as a parent, if you have a child, and let's say you have a child, and that child continues to go into your room and to disturb things, mess with things in your room, and you say to that child, listen, do not go in my room. Do not go messing with anything in my room. Stay out my room. Okay? As a parent, do you have that right? Even though you go in your room. Even though you will continue to go in your room and you will mess with whatever you want to mess with in your room. Do you have the right to say to that child, do not go into my room. Do not mess with anything in my room. Do you have that right as a parent? Well, the answer is yes, you do. Okay? Now, the question is, why? Why are you telling that child not to go into your room and not to disturb anything that is in your room? Obviously, you have things in your room that that does not belong to the child. Okay? Things perhaps that the child shouldn't be playing with, maybe a danger to the child. Okay? You have your personal information. You have things that are just not for that child. It is for you. And so you say, do not go into my room. So simply because I tell my child don't go into my room doesn't mean that I can't go into my room. You see? So Yahuah said, do not make any images or the likeness of anything in the heavens above, under the heavens, in the earth, or under the earth. That is what Yahuah says. But then Yahuah goes and Yahuah gives us a language that is a pictographic language. It is a pictographic language. It is a language made up of pictures. Okay? So, how could he do that? He just told us not to make any likeness of anything. Okay? And then, not only that, Yahuah goes and he tells us to make the likeness of something in the Shamahim, something in the heavens. And there you are to come and worship me. So I want you to make the tabernacle. I want you to make the Haykal. And in the Haykal, I want you to make images. I want you to make likenesses of things in the heavens. Oh, wait. Did he not say, do not make for yourselves the likeness of anything in the heavens? Yes, he did. But you see, family, the key there is do not make for yourself. So the question is, that we have got to ask is, when Yahuah says to make likenesses, we've got to ask, what likenesses is he telling us to create and why? We have to ask, what likenesses is he telling us to create and why is he telling us to create those likenesses? Okay, so Yahuah says, for example, when he built the ark, when he gave instructions to build the Ark of the Covenant, he says that I want you to build the Ark of the Covenant. And then I want you to make the likeness of the cherubim. I want you to make the likeness of 2 cherub or 2 cherubim. And I want you to place them over the mercy seat, the Bema seat on the Ark of the Covenant. Well, didn't he just say not to make the likeness of anything in the heavens above or the earth under the heavens or in the earth below or under the earth? Yes, he did. So how then could he tell you to go and make the likeness of cherubs? Well, again, the question is, who says it? What was the purpose for him telling us to do it? Okay, who does it esteem? When Yahuah tells us to make likenesses, the likenesses does not esteem man or esteem creation. The likenesses esteems Yahuah. Yahuah tells us to make the likenesses of certain things for the teaching of his people. So he says to make a tabernacle. The tabernacle is an image. The tabernacle is the likeness of something in the heavens. But Yahuah says to make the tabernacle. It is of something that exists in the Shamahim. Okay? But the purpose of it, what is the purpose, we must ask? The purpose of it is to instruct his people. The purpose of it is to teach his people. Now, we're going to look at some more scriptures dealing with pictures. Actual pictures. Okay? We've looked at that here. The word is used, similitude is what the translators use. We're going to continue to dig deeper. We're going to look at where sometimes the word is translated even as pictures. Okay, so some people say, well, you can have pictures, as many pictures as you want to. You're not worshiping them, they say. Well, what does Yahuah say? Yahuah says, do not make any likeness of anything. Do not make any likeness of anything. Do not make any graven images and do not make any likenesses of anything. A graven image is different from likeness, and we're going to go to the command. Okay? Graven image and likeness is 2 different things. So he says, do not make any graven images. Graven image is something carved out for the purpose of worship. The very word graven points to an idolatrous image. Okay? But he does not stop there. He says, neither do you make any likeness of anything. neither male nor female. Do not make the likeness of male or female. Where did he say that at? Let's back up again. Here in Devarim chapter 4. Deuteronomy chapter 4. He says, listen, I did not even expose myself to you at Mount Horeb, because I did not want you to make the likeness of anything, neither male nor female. Okay? I'm going to start here at verse 11 or verse 10. Especially the day that you stood before Yahuah, your Elohim, in Horeb, when Yahuah said unto you, gather me the people together, and I will make them hear my words, that they may learn to fear me all the days that they shall live upon the earth, and that they may teach their children. Verse 11, and you came near and stood under the mountain, and the mountain burned with fire out of the midst of the Shamayim, with darkness, clouds, and thick darkness. And Yahuah spake unto you out of the midst of the fire. He heard the voice of the words, but saw no similitude, no likeness, no image. Only you heard a voice. And he declared unto you this covenant which he commanded you to perform, even 10 commandments, and he wrote them upon 2 tables of stone. And Yahuah commanded me at that time to teach you statutes and judgments, that you might do them in the land whither you go over to possess it. Take you therefore good heed unto yourselves, for you saw no manner of similitude. Take good heed. Pay attention to that. Notice that you saw no manner nor similitude, picture, image on that day that Yahuah spake unto you in Horeb out of the midst of the fire. Pay attention to that, he says. Notice that you saw no similitude, no picture, no image, no appearance of Yahuah when he spoke to you. Only you heard a voice, he said. Okay? Now he goes on to say, in verse 16, lest you corrupt yourselves and make you a graven image, the similitude of any figure, the likeness of any of male or female. Verse 16. So he said, I did not pay attention. Take note that I did not expose myself to you. I did not give you an image. I did not show you myself. You did not see a picture of me, because I did not want you to go and make an image or the similitude, pictures, or the likeness of anything male or female. Do not make for yourself pictures of anything, likenesses of anything male or female, he says. Okay? Now, there's much more to cover. And but what I'm going to do, I'm going to stop here, and then we're going to come back for another part of this lesson, and we're going to go to more scriptures. And again, family, this is not a lesson to condemn anyone. Okay? It's not about condemnation. We're growing. Listen, we do not arrive at the truth. It is important to note that we do not arrive at the truth. Rather, we grow in the truth. Okay? So we are growing in Yahuwah's truth. And so as we grow in Yahuwah's truth, there are going to come things that's not comfortable to hear. You see? It's really not comfortable to hear. We're going to encounter things that it don't feel good to the flesh, because the flesh wars against the Ruach. You see? But nonetheless, you know, if our desire is toward Yahuwah, then we will grow in that. The key is not to fight against it. Doesn't mean that you have to, now you hear this word, you have to drop everything and change right now. That's not what I'm saying, you see. But if our desire is towards Yahuwah, then we grow gradually, you see. We mature. And as we mature, our minds are renewed. And so, it says, be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, so that you may experience what is acceptable, what is good, what is the perfect will of Yahuwah for our lives. And so I'm going to stop here, and then we're going to come back, because we have much to cover in this study on images and mighty ones. We have only just begun, and I've been with you for almost an hour, but we still have a lot more to cover. So shalom to you. Shalom.
small. But in time, they will join you in the sun. In time, you will help them accomplish wonders.